It's called The Big One. Oh, and I must warn you that there is some extraneous language in this article. Some adult language. So kids, be sure to either get your parents' permission or uh, click off this video now because it's going to get pretty salty. The big one. All right, then let's tackle the big one just for the fun of it. In Bluff Creek, 1967, a couple of fellows by the names of Patterson and Gimlin took a video recording of what appears to be a female walking Sasquatch for about a minute. Okay, slight correction. It's actually a film, not a video. Okay, that's accurate. You can't start hitting on me just yet. That's historical fact. They were there, they shot a video. End of. This is where it gets tricky. It's not just about whether or not the film is a hoax, it's how it was a hoax as well. You can get yelled at for saying the wrong dude was in the costume, or you can get yelled at for saying what kind of costume it is. You can get yelled at for saying it's real or not. You can get yelled at for saying the wrong reason Patterson and Gimlin were up there in the first place. In certain groups, you can even get yelled at for saying they didn't kill a bunch of Bigfoot and dispose of the bodies after the film was taken. No lie. Luckily, I could give a shit less. As a hardcore gamer, the hatings of the Bigfoot community are fucking nothing compared to an online match or game forums LMAO. So here's my take on what happened that day based upon my own meandering thought. Go. It's a fake. It's an obvious fake because it looks like a guy in a costume. The back end curls over the legs like a rug. The arms swing like someone not quite knowing what they're supposed to do with their arms. The foot strides are contrived, and of course the heels bend over the back of the ankle. The face matches a caveman mask commonly used in those days, and the whole thing looks like a jigsaw puzzle pieced together. I am not a fan of it. I believe it to be a hoax and am fully prepared to deal with the consequences of that belief. Patterson and Gimlin were up there to get a film of Bigfoot. Some say they were looking for cavemen, others say they were looking for a monkey. Speculation abounds, but any way you look at it, they were there for Bigfoot, and they got a film of Bigfoot. If today that is a red flag, then back then it was a red flag. It's also said that Patterson had published an article about Bigfoot having breasts, but after investigating that, I could find no evidence whatsoever, so I gotta call bunk on that. It was also not Bob Hieronymus in the suit either. His body proportions didn't match up at all. I don't know who was, but I'd bet dollars to donuts it wasn't him. I believe in Bigfoot because of sighting reports, footprint casts, someone I know in America and trust told me they saw one, and the natives have stories that go back ages. I have yet to see any footage I can get 100% on board with. The Freeman footage is good, but the dude admitted to having hoaxing footprints. Bart Coutinho, his thermal looks okay, but it could also be a bunch of guys out in the woods. I'm like Fox Mulder. I want to believe, but you gotta give me something genuine. I can't get on board the Patterson train because to me it looks like a man in a suit. For the longest time I was a big Justin Smayo supporter. His description doesn't fit with the film. I'm sorry, but as far as that goes, I'm calling it a fake and walking away. Sorry, guys. So what we have is a fellow who is genuinely interested in the subject of Sasquatch, but yet he thinks the film is a hoax. What to make of an individual like this? I'll tell you. Well, I'll tell you my own personal opinion on it, I should say. And keep in mind, this is only my opinion and it is not shared by anybody else. 5 years ago, I would have probably roundly condemned this article and said that this guy was a blasphemer. How dare he say the film is a hoax? But as time has gone on, I've matured a lot more. If there are Bigfooters out there who decide that they want to condemn this article and say that this guy is a blasphemer, then I'm sorry, to me they're not using very good objectivity. I say that the PG film is separate from the subject of Sasquatch overall. Now, there may be those who disagree with that, and that's fine. But that is my opinion, and I will stand by that opinion. I've been told by some people when I said that just because the PG film might be a hoax would not mean that Sasquatch does not exist, that no, Sasquatch does exist and what is in the film is a Sasquatch. They say you can't separate Sasquatch, the subject, from the film. Well, I disagree. I think you can. And I'll tell you the reason I think you can separate both of those. because we have a history of sightings that goes back quite a long ways. We have footprints, we have fecal matter, we have hair, and we have all kinds of interesting evidence that predates the PG film, or some of it does anyway. Yes, I think the PG film is real, based on the excellent work of Bill Munns, but it's only opinion. I mean, we really do not know exactly if the film is real or not, and we won't know. We will never know. Unless somebody invents a time machine and somebody goes back in time to that very date and that very spot and confirms what Patterson and Gimlin have always maintained. Thing is, the film cannot be absolutely proven to be a hoax, but it can't be proven to be real either. It walks that fine middle line, that fine middle ground. The only way, the only surefire way to get absolute 100% indisputable proof that Sasquatch exists is to bring a body in, or a significant piece of one. The PG film's been around for 48 years. It has not proven the existence of Sasquatch. It's an interesting piece of evidence. It's the best visual evidence we have, but it's not proof. If I saw a leprechaun out in my yard and I took a picture of it, it would be interesting visual evidence, but it wouldn't be proof. The only way I could prove that I saw a leprechaun in my yard is to kill it, is to squish it, maybe bring a body or piece of a body in. That'd be the only way. Other than that, you would just have to take my word for it. And with how easy pictures and film and video um, can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulated and digitally enhanced. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that can be done to film and video and photos these days. So that kind of stuff can be faked. PG film could have been faked also. Not saying it was. There is a possibility. There is some possibility it could have been. And I just thought I'd point something out. We as Americans have the right to our opinions. Richard Allen, well, actually, all humans have the right to their opinions, not just Americans. Richard Allen has a right to his opinion. So do Rob Godet and Scott Harriet. And they are of the conviction that the PG film is a hoax. But they are Sasquatch researchers, and they've actually had their own encounters and their own sightings. So they just took a look at the PG film, they thought it was a hoax. That's their opinion. They have the right to it. Point is, there's room for everybody in the Bigfoot community, even if they don't think the PG film is real. It's only an opinion. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just an opinion. And they're not blaspheming anything. They just are expressing that they think the PG film is a hoax. They're not saying there's no Sasquatch. Let's make that distinction, folks, and let's keep that in mind. Thank you. I ran across this editorial by a fellow named Richard Allen who runs a blog called Ramblings of a Schizophrenic Brit. The article is called The Big One, and it addresses his feelings about the Patterson-Gimlin film.